calm down. I understand I'm the Monty, but what is up with you? I literally can't talk. I literally can't talk at all. All right. Hold on. Let's redo it. What's up, YouTube? Is Monty Plays back, and today I got a little different stuff going on now. You know, a couple of days ago I played, what was it called? The Night Shift, and you know, I'm trying to keep the spooky vibes going on with the Halloween theme. So today we're going to be reacting to animated horror stories. The first one is going to be Discord horror stories. We're going to see how this goes. I have a couple other horror stories we got going on. Let's get into it. Alright, so the first horror story we're going to be reacting to is Discord horror stories animated by Martin Animations. This is, I've never watched any of their animations. I only watched Llama Arts. Llama Arts is good also.
I think it's brilliant that
I
folks
gotta
exists for the LGBTQ plus community. It's one thing to have competent health.
Is a messaging app for people who play video games. It allowed him to talk to people from all over the world that play the same games as him. So at some point, he broke the news to us that he'd been talking to a girl over in the UK named Lori. She and he had become friends, playing some sort of pirate game, playing together most days and talking pretty much all the time when they weren't at their computers. And eventually, he just up and asked her if she wanted to be his girlfriend, and she says yes. It was definitely a new concept for someone like me who grew up at a time when cell phones weren't even a thing, but I understand that we live in the digital age where new methods of dating are coming to the fore, so I just tried to be happy for him, as any mom should when their kid gets their first girlfriend or boyfriend. Plus,
imagine telling your mom that you had a girlfriend on Discord. No offense to the Discord couples or whatever y'all got going on. I'm not hating or anything, but what if your child comes up to you and be like, "Mom, I got a girlfriend," but she's in the UK, so how is that? Listen, all I'm saying is online relationships don't work. That's all I'm saying.
with an entire ocean between them, it's not like I have to worry about them getting accidentally pregnant or something. However, one Sunday afternoon, my son emerges from his boy cave for what seemed like the first time in days. Walks into the TV room where me and my husband are.
Why is he built like that? Alright, my guess is he lost his girlfriend, his Discord girlfriend, and alright, I can already tell. Look at him. If a Discord mod leaves their room or cave, then something bad happened. I do not care.
Sat, and with a very concerned look on his face. We asked him what the matter was, and he just kind of shrugs, tells us everything is cool, and then just kind of wanders out again. So as you can imagine, me and my husband give each other a look as if to be like, what was that about? My husband...
Where's her eye? Oh my god.
Gets up, follows our son into the living room before gently prodding him about anything that might be bothering him.
Son, it's been 3 days. You gotta leave your room. Go outside, make some friends.
From what he told me, our kid was just doing that typical boyish thing of pretending that everything was fine, but in a way that tells us that he's obviously upset about something. My husband then told me he asked after Lori, with our son responding in almost a visceral way of like, why are you always in my business, blah blah blah. He'd obviously touched on a sore subject, so our general conclusion was that he and Lori had broken up and he just didn't want to talk about it. We weren't about to press him on it, so we kind of just left him to it to get over and move on to someone new. But over the next month or so, our son seemed to get increasingly depressed. He'd spend more and more time up in his room, only ever coming out to go to school or eat dinner and then just retreating back to his little boy cave. Like I said, we figured this was because he'd split up with his internet girlfriend, but one time my husband was walking past his room and blatantly heard him talking to someone via his little voice chat Discord thing, addressing them as Babe and, at one point, Lori. So apparently they're still talking at that point, but we still assume that they were having relationship issues, putting it down to the fact that they were like thousands of miles apart. I know long-distance relationships don't work at the best of times, even when people were just a few states away from each other. But these kids had an entire ocean separating them, so God knows how hard that must have been on them. Only, as we came to learn, that wasn't exactly the problem. It was something much, much darker. So as I said, our son seemed to be getting more and more depressed over the course of the month, and it got so bad that at one point that me and my husband discussed getting him a therapist or something to nip the problem in the bud before it could morph into something less easy to deal with. But suddenly, out of apparently nowhere, he just perks up. One day he's looking better, feeling perkier, and is considerably more talkative.
See, now he done got the COD points, the V. Somebody done gifted him some COD points. He needed it. COD points. It did him good.
He actually seemed keener on spending more time with us too, which for a 16-year-old boy struck us as very unusual. I mean, not that we were complaining. It was nice seeing him feeling better about things, and we put it down to him meeting a new girl or just shutting out Lori from his life. This kind of sunny behavior carries on for like a week or so until one Saturday, when after coming down for breakfast, we don't see or hear from him for the rest of the day. Late in the afternoon, my husband goes up into his room, knocks on the door, and asks our son if everything is okay. He comes back down into the TV room, tells me there was no reply after knocking, then asks me if I'd seen him leave the house at all during the day. I tell him no, that if he had gone over to a friend's house or whatever, that he certainly hadn't let me know. Then my husband just kind of shrugs, tells me he has a headache, then walks off to the downstairs bathroom to get an aspirin from the medicine cabinet. Next thing I know, I can hear him springing down the hallway and up the stairs, his feet like boom, boom, boom as he rushed up to our son's room. I'm super confused, like, what's going on, before walking out into the hallway. From where I'm standing, I can actually see into the downstairs bathroom, and what I see makes my blood run cold. We usually kept all our pain pills and other such medication in a little plastic first aid kit style thing. We kept that thing stuffed to the gills. And there it was, lying on the bathroom floor, almost completely empty. Then, like my husband before me, it hit me what had happened. So I sprint up to my son's room where I find my husband leaning over our boy's bed, shaking him like, "Wake up! Can you hear me? Wake up!" There's a pool of puke sitting on the bed next to his head, and he's completely unconscious, and there are empty pill trays lying on the floor nearby. As soon as I walk in, my husband runs back downstairs to call 911, and I take over the shaking and the wailing, begging him to open his eyes. Now, the only light in the room was coming from his computer monitors, so at one point I look over to it and see one of the most haunting things I've ever seen in my life. On the screen is a webcam window from the Discord thing I mentioned, and it displays the body of a young girl that's just kind of dangling in midair. It took me a second to realize what I was looking at, but when I did, I almost screamed the house down. She was hanging from something. I tried not to look, I really did. I just tried to focus on my boy as his dad ran back upstairs with emergency...
I'm sorry. I understand people just kill themselves. But look at how fast he's running down the hallway. Hold on.
She was hanging from something. I tried not to look, I really did.
Yo.
I just tried to focus on my boy as his dad...
Look at him. He passed like 2 windows in like a second. Look at this.
And back upstairs with...
How many windows they got?
emergency services on his cell.
Oh my God.
I should have told him not to look, but I was just distraught. I could barely speak as he walks back into the room and starts describing our son's condition to the dispatcher on the other end of the line. He's frantically talking away when he does pretty much the same thing as me, turns around to see the webcam window open and the girl's body hanging on the screen. He just froze and stops talking, long enough for me to be able to hear the dispatcher say, "Sir, are you there, sir?" At which point he snaps out of his daze and carries on talking to the person on the other end. It was he that then had the same presence of mind to turn off the computer, all the while giving the EMTs our home address and begging them to arrive as quickly as possible. Our son was taken to the hospital where he promptly has his stomach pumped. We stayed all night, waiting in the visitors area, and when a doctor finally approached us with an update on our son's condition, I found my heart racing as I prepared for the worst.
So let's say you have to read an incredibly...
But thankfully, we'd gotten him to the hospital just in time, and the nurses were able to pump his stomach and administer the necessary medication to counteract the effects of the things he'd taken already. He survived, barely, but the same couldn't be said for the girl on the computer screen, who we assumed was this Lori girl he'd been in the long-distance relationship with. When our son woke up and saw us in the hospital room, he burst into tears. He apologized over and over again, and we all just cried it out together. He then proceeded to spill his guts to us about what had happened, and I honestly couldn't believe my ears. It turned out that they'd formed a kind of pact together just the week before, right around the same time he seemed to have perked up and gotten out of the funk he was in. Apparently, that was what did it. That she and he had figured out a way to escape the pain they were suffering, and that the revelation had been some kind of boost to him, as morbidly insane as that sounds. We went ahead with booking him into therapy, and he's doing much, much better now. We don't monitor his online activities, as he figured he just wouldn't allow him to have a computer in his bedroom anymore.
That's good.
And since then, me and my husband have made an effort to acquaint ourselves with the darker corners of the internet, and believe me, there are some days I wish I hadn't. Because my God, are there some horrendous things out there, things I wish I'd never seen, and that I'll never be able to get out of my head.
Alright, so basically all this just for a girl on Discord? This man's about to kill himself for a girl on Discord. In the UK. On to the next one, y'all. On to the next one. Alright, this next animation is a Halloween horror story by Mort. You can check out his channel. I'll link the channels down below in the description.
Male, 48, and this happened when I was a teenager. It was Halloween night. My mom and dad had a party to go to, so it was my job to take my little brother trick-or-treating. We went around the closest neighborhoods before we stopped at my uncle's house like we did every year. My uncle invited us inside to have a glass of apple cider, a piece of pie, and to gossip about the things that had been happening at my school. We helped pass out candy, watched a few of the classic Halloween movies, and generally had a good time.
Why all of them look dead inside?
I'm catching up with my uncle and his wife. It's the usual thing that I had done since I was a kid. It was getting late, and we were getting ready to leave when a shadow passed over the window. It was very unusual for someone to be lurking around our neighborhood. My uncle had already shut off the lights when we noticed the shadow. The first thought to go through my mind was the fact that someone had escaped from the state prison that was relatively close to my uncle's property. Ridiculous, I know, but my overactive imagination would take me to some insane lengths. My uncle told me to take my brother into his study, lock the door, and don't come out until he says to. I did as told. My brother and I quickly hid in the study and watched out the window for a few minutes. It seemed to linger on forever. To my utter improbable shock, a man in an orange jumpsuit crept towards the living room window as I saw from afar. I had to...
Alright, listen. If he's in the study, most likely there's a gun in there. I don't know how dangerous this man is. His eyes are red. I'm not with it. I'll be like, yo, where the gun at? Because I'm not messing with that. If he's at the window and he can see you, you're done. You're done. If he sees you're not... Bro, look how big he is, yo. He's almost as tall as the window. That's not good at all.
I rubbed my eyes, wondering if my imagination truly was going insane. Now, my uncle wasn't and still isn't the type of guy that you want to mess around with. He served in the military, so he kept a lot of guns in the house to protect his family.
Exactly.
He was a bit of a nutcase. I'm not really sure what was
Oh.
exchanged between the lurker and my uncle, but a gunshot scared
Oh
my
my
brother enough to
God.
pee himself. I unlocked the door to the study and ran outside to see exactly what had happened. My uncle was knelt down beside the guy in the orange jumpsuit.
Snap.
To my surprise, he was crying and profusely apologizing for firing the gun. It turns out that my cousin had decided to dress up as a jailbird last minute. He went to a friend's party and didn't want his dad to find out that he had been drinking, which was the reason why he was lurking around the house. He was trying to sneak in without alarming anyone, but he didn't know that his dad was still awake. My uncle shot his son without hesitation. He was questioned by the police and ended up getting rid of all of his guns in his house. My cousin recovered just fine with some time in the hospital and a story to tell now that we look back on and laugh at from time to time. He went on to graduate college and become a lawyer, actually protecting those who were wrongfully assaulted, so in the end, everything came full circle.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Imagine getting shot. We're gonna watch another one. We're gonna watch. All right, this is story 2.
I'm 18, female, and still scared about what could have happened last year. For the sake of privacy, I'll call my girlfriend Lisa. Lisa was a beautiful, smart girl with platinum blonde hair and blue eyes that can make anyone crave her attention. I hadn't been dating Lisa very long, maybe 5 months if that. Our relationship may
I'm sorry, but what is up with the people in this animation? She looked like she just rolled out of bed and just slipped on the costume. Like the rings around the eye just get me. Like she just looks dead. It's whatever.
not have lasted long, but I didn't have any hard feelings after the traumatic event we experienced. My girlfriend and I decided to go out with a bang for our final Halloween as youths by trick-or-treating as sirens. You know, the mythical Greek creature that lures men to their death with a special song. The costumes were on the slightly exposed side, if you know what I mean. We wore short dresses with ripped stockings and high heels, which drew more attention than we had hoped.
We do not care.
We canvassed the neighborhood, which visited Mrs. Watson's house, Dr. Harrison's house, the elderly couple whose name I forgot, and the weird guy at the end of the road. We went to a party, had a few shots of tequila, and we went to a friend's house to smoke and eventually made our way back to my house with a bag full of candy. My mom questioned us about our night on the town. I assumed that she could tell we were a little out of it, but we engaged in a friendly conversation while sorting through our scrumptious lists. Being a bit clumsy on top of all that was typical for Lisa. She dropped a handful of candy, which made my mom more suspicious, and then my dogs Poncho and Lilo gobbled up as much as they could. We laughed about two chihuahuas licking their lips after eating a lot of caramel candies. It didn't take long for the dogs to start acting weird. They began to foam at the mouth and violently convulsing. It looked like something straight out of The Exorcist. My mom frantically scooped up Lilo and Poncho. I called the police and tried my best to calm my scared girlfriend down. The police confiscated the candy. The vet sadly declared that our dogs had passed away before they arrived. Lisa and I fell asleep and woke up the next morning to the officer from the night before. The weird guy at the end of the road was arrested because he was stupid enough to touch the candy without gloves. Apparently he poisoned the candy with cyanide because the trashy lesbians are an abomination to the world and deserve whatever was coming to them.
This guy committing a whole hate crime. See, now when I saw the guy earlier, I thought he looked he looked kind of. Nah, I was gonna say, yo, that guy like a someone named Buck, and
He was charged and sent to prison. Lisa broke up with me a few days after the incident and checked into an institution because now she suffered from PTSD. I'm sad that my dogs passed away, but I'm grateful that neither Lisa or anyone else in my family had eaten the candy. Who knows what could have happened? I urge you to be careful when you take your little ones or anyone else out trick-or-treating. Please check the treats that you receive carefully and throw out anything that looks like it had been messed with. It's for your own safety.
heavy on the... Alright, so the next animation we're going to be watching, this is the last one. This is called 7-Eleven Horror Story Animated.
I spend my days as a humble worker at 7-Eleven. More specifically, I was a store manager and franchise owner. I was no software engineer or doctor, and while my family did have their opinions on what I did for a living, my job paid rather well. I was a very different man in my past.
Bro, the music is making it seem like we Batman right now. I'm so serious, like, the intense music. Like, that it can work over anything. Like, look, watch. Monty is the best YouTuber there ever was. See?
But deciding to go the route of franchising a store was a more hands-on career path that mostly kept me in check. It was a low-stress but high-labor job, and that was honestly perfect for me. The job was almost therapeutic to me. It gave me something to take care of, something to look forward to every day. Of course, I couldn't do this alone. Working with me in my daytime shifts were workers Molly and Adam. Molly and Adam were young. They were working there to pay off their college tuition. We all considered ourselves like a family to each other. Molly, Adam, and I grew super close to each other in our time working there. They were like the kids I never had, and this naturally made me a little protective over them. We would always encounter weird or upset customers, and it was usually me who had to stand up for them. I didn't want anything to happen to them. They were so young. Nothing bad had happened to Molly or Adam yet, and I was grateful for that. But one early morning, that changed.
Bro.
It was a Tuesday morning.
Nah, that's a red flag. Nah, two of them actually. Put up two of them. That's, he said yet, and then the children thing, I don't know.
I want to say the incident occurred around 9 a.m. The sun was out and things seemed to be going normal. This time of day was always peaceful. There was usually never any problems. Eventually, a blue sedan pulled into the parking lot. Inside of the car was a rather average-looking middle-aged man. He stepped out of the car and started filling it with gas. While the pump was going, he then proceeded to the front of the store. As per their training, Molly and Adam greeted him. The man just nodded and started walking around the aisles. He then looped back around the store, approached Molly, and started flirting with her. Molly was visibly uncomfortable.
Bro. Look at him. Bro, I know he smokes a pack of Newports every day. There is no way. Yo.
And while I wanted to go to the back of the store and do my inventory logging, I couldn't do this.
Yo, look at her face. She is not interested, bro.
Not with the man hitting on Molly like that. Adam, however, told me that he could handle the man if he started acting any weirder. And naturally, I trusted him. I reluctantly stepped in the back room and started counting down and logging all the items that were there. While I was doing this, however, I kept looking back towards the man to see what he was doing. It seemed like the man was looking back at me as well. This was odd for a number of reasons. Customers aren't supposed to be this close to the back of the store, and he kept awkwardly peering in through the utility room. To make things worse, every time I looked back, the man started to try and act busy. It was like he was trying to pass time or look natural for some reason. I stepped out of the room and asked the man if I could help him. He seemed to awkwardly and rudely shun me off and keep pacing around the store pretending like he was looking for something. For some reason, I decided to ignore all these red flags and continue my work in the back. Eventually, while Molly was passing by the back room, she whispered to me that the man was making her very uncomfortable. I told her that once I finished with the shelf I was working on, I would quickly go outside and help her. I essentially told her to hang in there and wait behind Adam. It was super confusing what the man even wanted. He seemed to have stopped flirting with Molly completely and was instead focused on trying to peer through the back door for some reason. As annoying as this was, I just wanted to get through my work. I had one last crate of granola bars to log down and I didn't want this weird man to stop that. But that's when I heard a commotion coming from the main room. "Excuse me, sir, you're not allowed to be back there. What are you trying to pull off?" "Call the police, Adam," I heard Molly exclaim right after that. I quickly ran out of the storage room to see what was happening and saw the commotion. The man in the blue car was trying to pull something off. I saw Molly in shock and fear in the corner, and Adam with his fists up standing right in front of her. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" I asked the man. Whoa, what kind of place is this? What's even back there? What are you guys hiding?"
Man's asking what's back there. It's a 7-Eleven, bro. He need that Slurpee flavor that's not out yet.
"Get out of here. The sign clearly says employees only. You expect me to just sit here and let you get away with this? No way in hell." We were all in complete shock. Adam tried to calm the man down, however. Sir, we don't need to get violent, okay? You can just calm down and we don't have to— I don't want to hear another word from you psychos. The man snapped back at Adam. Molly started to cry. She was ready to dart out the store. The man then started reaching for his pocket.
Oh,
We had
nah. If you see somebody reaching for something, you better run. It do not matter. If you see someone reaching for something, it could be multiple things. A gun, knife. That's about it. That's the only thing that can really hurt you. But
no idea what he was going to pull out. I tackled the man in the back of the shop
my
and
God.
screamed at Adam and Molly to just head away and call the police. A few more minutes of us rustling in the utility room occurred. I managed to headlock the man, but he just kept hitting me off.
What is he
After a
doing,
few
bro?
more minutes of us rustling and fighting in the back, the cops eventually got there. But sadly, they couldn't find him on the scene. We got the man's face on security camera, and his car was still at the pumps.
They just
We
walking
had
away
both
with
his
guns?
face and his license plate on camera. Despite all this, the police just left. They couldn't find any sign of him, and they assumed
See, now that's the face of a person who does not care about their job. They don't even have badges.
that he just ran out through one of the other back doors. As the cops left, I made sure to dump the man's body right next to the first. As I mentioned before, I was a different man in my past. This job really changed me. It seemed like the man in the blue car clearly noticed the other body I had. Normally it's pretty well hidden. Not even Molly or Adam could find it. But I guess one of the legs must have been sticking out or something like that while I was moving stuff around. I re-looked at the security footage to make sure there was no evidence left behind. It seemed like the man wasn't reaching for a gun or a knife. He was reaching for his phone to call the police. I really didn't want it to be this way, but he knew my secret. The man was now part of my collection. Molly and Adam still have no idea what happened, and you bet I'm planning to keep it that way. They can't find out anything about my past. If they did, they'd be shattered. For now, my secret remains safe from the public eye, and I will ensure no one remembers that day.
That is crazy. Yo. Alright, I like this because they have like the plot twist stuff going on. That is, I already knew he was sus from the beginning. He's talking about they were like my kids, and I forgot what else he said, but he said something else. He seemed off to me in the first place. Oh my God. Alright, that one was good. That one was really good. I like that last one. But 10 likes, and I guess I'll do this again because I actually like reacting to stuff. I don't usually react to things, but I'm trying to get into that scary mood. And it's October. I don't know. But if you like this, leave a like, comment, because there's no reason not to be subscribed. I'm just the best YouTuber out. But and I stand by that. But also for the last video that I dropped, we still have to hit 20 likes for me to play Stay Out the House. And that's about it. I enjoyed making this. This is Monty Plays, signing out.
As I'm bound to be the unavoidable consequence of you.
Cryptic, no.